We got the wood stove, the double barrel wood stove set up in our Quicktent greenhouse. This is a 16 by 40 foot greenhouse. This is now set up to where we can use it. We thought all gallon coffee cans were the same, but the Folgers can works perfect. This one we cut in half, and it's got the two little sections and the rib in the middle. The rib is too dented, you know, for the pipe to go through, but the pipe only has to go from here to there, and then this piece goes from here to there, and it works perfect. Same up here. This piece went to there, and that piece went to there. But the rest of the coffee cans have ribs way too close together all the way down, and then we found out that was the case. So I discovered a 65 ounce tuna can is a flat wall. This is a 65 ounce tuna can. I cut the ends off both sides and it slid right in there. I jointed that 12 foot piece with this 12 foot piece. And to keep them from sliding too far one way or the other, we marked the pipe. And then I also put little dents in the tuna can. The tuna can is very, very thin. I've got a thermometer right here, magnetic thermometer on a pipe. And we've got one down here on the top of the barrel stove. So we lit this a couple nights ago and discovered that because the chimney is so long, I'm trying to conserve heat. I'm trying to dissipate heat through the chimney up here in the greenhouse before it leaves, and of course that's going to create a lot of soot or creosote because we're burning slowly. We don't want to burn so hot that it melts the plastic or burns the plants. It's burning very slowly, but it works. And by the time it gets to the other end, if it's 350 degrees here, the other end's coming out about 120, 150 degrees, and I think we'll be just fine. At least that's what we're experimenting with, except that when we started the stove, the flue is not real strong. You know, there's no draft draw because of this long horizontal chimney. So as soon as you start the flames down here, it smokes like crazy back out the door at you. So yesterday in the mail we received an inline 6-inch inline booster. And I'll show you that. We put this outside. It's metal. It didn't fit very good, but it fit well enough that I put 3 sides in, and then I tapped with a hammer. I just tapped this and it's just sitting there. And we can turn it on. It's not running now, but it has a fan. In fact, the fluted end was the other side, and I took the screws out, turned the fan around so that it's actually pulling the air out this direction. And this could then fit in here. Otherwise, that's the same size as the pipe. That makes sense? And the electrical is hanging out the far side. This has a funky connector here. It's 3-prong connector. Connects to regular 3-prong, 120 volts, and then it's got a variable speed controller. You can hear it come on. And then I can turn it up. Or turn it down. And we're just running it on low. That's right next to off. Off is straight up, and I'm running it on low. And that's all it needs. It just needs a draft. Just something that makes the pressure in the pipe negative enough that it doesn't smoke coming back out the door of the wood stove. And it ran all night last night. We did a small fire in the end of the wood stove at about 5:30, and at 10:30 I got it going again, and woke up at 2:30 and came out to see how it was doing, and it was about gone. So I stoked it, and the whole time that fan out here is pulling the smoke out so that it's not smoking in the greenhouse. Otherwise the draft in here would be the other way. It would be smoking out the greenhouse because the chimney pipe is not hot enough to pull the smoke out. Or tall enough, maybe. That doesn't help either, that I have it going straight out like that, but that draft fan is perfect. So we're going to light this today. Ryan came over and he helped cut up all of the plywood. Some of these boards, not plywood, well, there's a piece of plywood, but most of it was pallets like this. Old pallets that we've gathered, and we put these tables together. Well, we had a stack of leftover pallet material on these tables, and we got that all cut up into pieces that will fit in the wood stove. Got that all cleaned up, and I took a weed whacker and I mowed the grass in here that was a foot tall. That's going to be a problem, but I don't want to kill the grass. This temporary location for the greenhouse is going to mean that I want to keep the grass, you know, for later this year. So the greenhouse will move out in May. I took all of the blackberries off of the top of the table because it gets up to over 100 degrees in here during the day, and our poor blackberry canes, I think, suffer. It's very humid, I get that, but it's still too hot and too sunny, and is killing the cane. So I put them, and there's plenty of light down under here during the day. Even now, there's plenty of light for those to leaf out, and that will help save some of those and have more success with those blackberries, I think, than being up on top. And that frees up a table for more veggie starts. This is all Glow Cow Gardens. This is Nora and his wife are all doing Swiss chard, tomatoes, cabbage, kale, collard greens, kohlrabi. They've got all their greens. I've got my tomatoes here. He's got some tomatoes over there. I planted some onions, some chives, and more tomatoes. And we've got some peppers coming up finally. Not sure what to do. I think they're going to be a little bit late starting, since today's the 24th of March. I think it's a little bit late to start peppers, but we'll have them in here too, and all of the other. And then we just have a lot more room now on top of these tables if I put the grapes, raspberries, and blackberry starts underneath the table. Let's get this started. My paper towel is my heating oil filter. There's not any smoke coming out of this, none. Very nice. Just keep that closed a little bit, and when the fire is established, then I'm going to close the door and I'll just leave the damper slightly open till it's plenty warm. We get up to 350 degrees or 250 or so. Then I'll close that damper right down. No smoke coming out at all. So I'll go out and show you the smoke outside here at the end. It's going to be smoky. It's not hot. It's not a completely efficient fire, of course, or else it wouldn't have any smoke. It would be a much more efficient combustion. But that fan just pulls it right out. Just poofing out there like a tractor smokestack. Works great. How long this lasts with smoke going through it, I don't know, but they only cost $35. The little 4-inch ones are $29, and these are AC Infiniti inline draft fans. I'm trying to think. The 4-inch was only about 100 CFM, and this one's closer to 300, 275 to 300 CFM on the high setting, which gives me more versatility. I didn't like the little 4-inch because it didn't allow me to just shove it in the end of the pipe like the 6-inch does. So this is a lot nicer. Okay, so what happens tonight is this little fire I built will last 3 or 4 hours, and somebody's going to have to come stoke it. And otherwise, you can't just fill that full of firewood, or it'll be a 900-degree fire, and we'll have all kinds of problems, I think. I didn't build this stove, somebody else did. It was just convenient. A single barrel probably would have been okay, and then maybe we wouldn't have to worry about so much. I just never had a barrel stove before, so this is a really fun experiment. Okay, so last night I thought, okay, we'll get the wood stove going, I can experiment with vegetable oil in the diesel heater. The diesel heaters have been sitting here. This was the first one we had, and it worked great to keep things above 40, but to keep things above 50, you're going to have two on a 20-degree night, 25-degree night. So this is a 5 kilowatt, and then across the way on the other side right here we have an 8 kilowatt, which I have never run at top speed. I just run it about, I'd say 3/4, so it's close to 5 or 6 kilowatts. Last night that ran on vegetable oil all night. This one, on the other hand, started on diesel with 1/4 of an inch of diesel in the tank, and when it got down there ways, I added vegetable oil, and it smoked really bad. And because this one is not exhausted to the outside, it smoked inside of the greenhouse, so we had to vent things, open all the doors, get all the smoke out of here, and then I pulled that out, dumped the oil out, and started back with diesel. And we're at the bottom of our diesel tank. This 55-gallon barrel out here was a free tank of diesel from some people in Caldwell. It was dirty, but it worked in our diesel heaters. We just filtered it through the paper filter. And we're doing the same thing with these 2 barrels. This is a full barrel of heating oil from the backyard of a guy out on the bench in Boise. This is a half a barrel. About 75 gallons came out of that guy's tank. And it's really black and dirty, but it works great in our little heaters. I just have to filter it through a funnel, and we put a paper filter in the funnel, and all of these have been filtered. So there's no grit and there's no rust. It's just discolored. The rest of this is all waste oil, just old motor oil. Actually, since we got all of them from a farmer, he didn't know what was in them, since they'd been sitting out in the field uncovered, and some of them are rotted, and these were in pretty good shape. They're dirty, but they were frozen in the mud, and we had a lot of fun getting those out of there. And he has probably twice this many still sitting out there. But we get them all home, and some are, of course, really clean oil, and some are kind of a sludgy start, or some have a little water in the bottom. But this one here was all dirty gasoline, and this one over here was dirty gasoline. So we mix a cup in a 5-gallon bucket of waste oil when we're burning in the regular greenhouse. We just have a waste oil heater back here. Jerry's out here working. I've got videos showing my greenhouse heater. Yeah. That guy's working pretty good. It's cold outside. Yeah, it's freezing out there. Still 66 in here, but the sun hasn't quite gone down, so the heater doesn't have to work so hard. But that's what all this oil is for, is that heater. We're just getting started with a wood stove. And it feels really nice in here. It's just instant heat. And not so messy. I don't mind maybe cutting up some pallets, you know, get some free firewood for this thing. But bringing barrels of oil home has been kind of a messy chore, yet it's free energy, and it's kept that greenhouse going since October in there. And we're getting pretty good at operating the oil stove and filtering it. We just don't have a motorized filter for it yet. We couldn't store firewood in here. All those pallets that we just cut up are pretty moist because the humidity level in here is quite high. And during the day, if the wind's flapping the greenhouse plastic, it's just raining because of the condensation. It's just raining all over in here, and the wood gets wet. So it needs a wood shed. It needs a better place to be than in here. We've got it all cleaned up. It looks so nice. Right now it's 58 degrees and 58% humidity. This little 4-in-1 has centigrade, Fahrenheit, humidity level, and then it has alarm settings. And when it goes over 100, it's Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi to the house is 150 feet from here, and then wherever I'm at, my phone tells me that the alarm just went off. It either went over 100, or it went under 100, or it went over 50 degrees, or it went under 50 degrees, or the humidity level went up, or the humidity level went down on certain alarm levels. And it's kind of fun. Our blackberries down under the table. They fit really nicely, and I think they'll be so happy down there. I also have some himbo tops, little raspberry plants that I had left over from a project. Each night, or during each night, this 12-volt deep cycle RV battery, marine battery, runs that other diesel heater over there, and then I hook up the charger to this little lawnmower battery just to make sure. But last night that little lawnmower battery ran all night, so it's not like it doesn't work, but it's smaller and it could run out. So I just keep the charger charged on that during the night while it's running, and then I can disconnect this one tonight and run it over there, and it runs all night by itself without charging. I just need to charge it during the day to verify that it's going to stay running. Okay, so this has been running the whole time, and our temperature is almost at 200 degrees. Down here, there won't be much temperature. Yeah, it barely registers. It says it's not 100 degrees, and that's probably correct. It's more like 75 or 80 on that pipe. But it'll get up around 150 degrees as long as I don't let this fire get too hot. So now that I've got it running, I'm going to add a little bit of wood and then close it down. It's got some nice red coals in there, and it'll last for 4 or 5 hours. And the temp will get up to 250, 300 degrees, just like that. Excited to have the greenhouse up and running, a little more automated, have the tables cleaned off, and it's going to be a fun project. Just wishing we had a lot more greenhouse table space.